When PG&E eventually gets out of bankruptcy, it looks like it may be about to lose the power to pay money to its own shareholders. It's part of a federal judge's plan to, in his words, protect the public from further death and destruction resulting from PG&E-caused wildfires. 16 million people in Northern California have no choice but to get their power from the Pacific Gas and Electric Company. The judge's final decision could not only influence how much you all pay, but how reliable the power is. Judge William Alsup is still threatening to force PG&E to shut off the power on windy days, which would force expensive and time-consuming inspections of all the power lines every time that happens. We can't show you video of the judge because federal courts ban cameras, but we're going to break down what he's saying here and doing because it's a huge deal. Judge Alsup says he's fed up with PG&E's power grid sparking fires and killing people. PG&E equipment started 17 fires in 2017, and the company admits it's probably going to be found responsible for starting last year's Camp Fire. Combined, those fires killed 107 people and destroyed 22,000 structures. And the judge points out that in at least some of those fires, it looks like PG&E broke state safety laws, which would be a problem in normal times, but these are not normal times for PG&E. The company is a convicted criminal, guilty of 5 felonies for breaking federal safety laws when it blew up a neighborhood in San Bruno, killing 8 people. The company also misled federal investigators after that explosion, earning it a 6th felony for obstruction. And most importantly for this story, a lack of trust from the judge. PG&E is currently serving a sentence of probation for those crimes, but the judge recently found that PG&E violated its probation. And all these plans we're talking about right now are the judge's proposed new terms. The judge points out that PG&E admitted to 2 key facts. 1, that contact with trees is the leading cause of wildfires started by PG&E power lines. And 2, that PG&E identified almost 4,000 hazardous trees in 2016, but reported the next year that it hadn't trimmed or removed them. Trees are a key issue here. The judge wants zero risk. He wants PG&E to comply 100% with state safety laws requiring that trees be cut back away from power lines. But PG&E recently told the judge it has 100,000 miles of power lines and, quote, given the dynamic conditions of vegetation, aka that they're always growing, it is impossible for a utility to achieve perfect compliance with state laws. To say that that argument didn't go over well with the judge doesn't quite do his response justice. The judge called PG&E's safety effort dismal. He pointed out the company gave no evidence that the job is impossible, and he said that's a silly argument anyway. Anyone who knows the terrain and its vegetation knows that it takes years for trees to grow to the height of PG&E's lines. In other words, trees don't grow that fast. Deal with it. But he didn't stop there. Judge Alsup also said if PG&E thinks state safety laws are too strict, the company should try using its well-oiled lobbying efforts, not his courtroom, to change them. The judge is taking aim at PG&E's money. He pointed out that PG&E paid its shareholders $1.9 billion worth of dividends in the 2 years leading up to these fires. Yet, during this same time period, he wrote, PG&E knowingly failed to trim or remove thousands of trees it had already identified as posing a hazard. Put differently, some of these dividends could and should have been kept to bring PG&E into compliance with state and federal law on fire safety. So he says he wants to help the company out with that. Under his proposed new probation terms, PG&E would be banned from paying any shareholder dividends until it does fully comply with tree trimming laws. It actually does all of the trimming work it promised to do in its wildfire plan recently submitted to the state. PG&E would also need to file monthly reports detailing the work it did, and all the while an independent monitor would do surprise inspections. As for the idea of making PG&E shut off its power lines during high wind, the judge says he wants a few more weeks to think on that. He ordered PG&E back in court to finalize this new probation plan at the beginning of April. Because this is about whether the power is safe and reliable for 16 million of you and how much you'll pay, we're going to be there too.